Most men spend their entire lives addicted to vices, different things that are constantly dragging them down. And in today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit how to go about reprogramming your mind in order to free yourself of these things. I'm talking about food addiction. I'm talking about porn addiction. I'm talking about addiction to chasing women. I'm talking about addiction to scrolling, addiction to drugs like weed. All of these things are things that the modern man has found himself enslaved to. And if you just say, oh, I'm just all of a sudden going to be a disciplined person now and get rid of all of these things out of my life, you're going to find that it's a lot harder than that. And why is that? Well, there are a couple different components that I want you to keep in mind when you are trying to go on your journey of self-betterment and ridding yourself of these things that have been holding you back. So first of all, you have to realize that a lot of these things, you don't truly realize just how detrimental they were until you get rid of them. When I was smoking weed on a regular basis, I had fully convinced myself that it was totally fine and that it wasn't that bad. I would say, oh, I'm just doing it on the weekends, once a week. It's really not that big of a deal, man. I'm just doing it to relax a little bit. I'm doing it to turn off my brain a little bit. Give me a break, bro. It's not like I'm waking and baking like these other stoners. You start to make little excuses like this that are designed for you to be okay with your behavior. And yet, fast forward a couple years later, I realized that my weed problem was causing me to fall out of line in so many other different areas of my life. I was becoming incredibly slothful. I was losing my passion. I was losing my drive. I was losing my productivity. I was losing my creativity. I also found myself just looking forward to the next time that I was actually going to get high so I could bum out and do nothing. And I constantly, whenever I felt stressed out, found myself craving escape, wanting to get out. When it comes to pornography, so many men will get addicted to watching these beautiful women on the screen. And then they go and they live their daily lives, and the average woman isn't really that attractive to them. And they've convinced themselves that they're only going to be able to find a woman if she's a lot more attractive because their standards are so much higher because they've been watching a ton of porn. Think about how much that can fuck with your head for the rest of your life. A lot of men are attracted to toxic women, women that are going to drag you down to the pits of hell. Most men are attracted to these women because these women are temptresses. They're really good at making themselves look seductive. They're really good at playing into male desire and trying to give men what they want in the short term in order to get that sexual gratification. But like I said, these women will bring you down to hell with them. There are so many of these vices that it's only once you are fully free of it do you look back and realize just how in bondage you truly were. So how do you go about freeing yourself from these things? Well, there's a couple different steps that I really want you to focus on. Number one is you have to create a new ideal. All right? So you can't just get rid of the old thing. You actually have to replace it with something. I used to be very attracted to toxic women. And what I had to do was I had to go in and understand that about myself. And then I had to replace the ideal that I had built up in my head of watching porn for years and seeing women that are incredibly seductive, that are incredibly promiscuous, portrayed in these videos. And I had to realize, hey, I'm going to be attracted to these incredibly promiscuous women even more now because I've watched these videos. And I have to understand the way that my mind has been programmed to work. And I have to understand that my own urges, my own desires are bent on my own destruction. My own body, my own thoughts, my own mind is trying to drag me into hell. And so I have to replace this corrupted ideal of the woman that I want to be with the appropriate ideal. A woman who is wholesome, a woman who is pure, a woman who is loving, a woman who is kind, a woman who is patient, rather than just a woman who is incredibly seductive. With weed, instead of looking forward to being able to escape, instead of looking forward to this intoxicated high state, I had to start replacing that ideal with the ideal of sobriety. I started to have to appreciate my sober mind, the way that it functioned, and the way that I experienced things when I was sober. My senses when I was sober, the way things tasted, the way things smelled. What I would do is I would walk outside into nature whenever I was getting a terrible craving. And I would just focus on inhaling and exhaling, smelling everything around me. When I would eat, I would focus on tasting what I was eating. Because what you crave when you're trying to smoke weed in order to escape something is you're craving that escape. And you're craving being able to detach from reality. So you have to replace that ideal with presence and practicing being in the moment and appreciating your sober state of mind. When it comes to porn, you have to replace this urge to be able to go out and satisfy your sexual desire with a different ideal, saying, hey, I am now looking for community. I am looking to go out and get to know other people, because that is the purest version of the urge that you have that is your sexual desire. It's driving you to be more communal. It's driving you to be with other people, and that's a good thing. But you have to swap it out, because that lust is going to drag you away from where you need to be. It's going to make you less productive. It's going to make you chase this instant gratification. But if you understand that relationships take work, and going and hanging out with people takes work, setting up a date, going out on a date with a woman takes work, hanging out with a friend group takes work, all of a sudden you are creating a new ideal where you can commune with people, you can have fellowship, but at the same time you are not chasing that instant gratification. With food, you have to take away the foods that are making you feel so terrible. You have to get rid of them. You have to throw them away in the garbage. You have to get rid of all of the disgusting crap in the pantry so that you don't even have access to it. And you have to replace it with the good foods, the foods that are actually going to fuel you, the foods that are actually going to bring you nourishment. You see, it's not just enough to say, hey, I'm getting rid of these things. Reprogramming means changing the source code. It means rewriting what it means to be you as a person. You have to go in and you have to surgically remove the things that are tearing you down while simultaneously building out other layers of things that you are doing in order to cement in the change, in order to allow you to become a new person, a new self, somebody who operates differently than the old version of you, somebody that's no longer obsessed with this instant gratification. You see, these things tend to take roots much deeper than we even realize. And many people will claim, oh, I'm not addicted. I'm not addicted because it's not destroying my life. I'm not addicted. It's not that big of a deal. I could quit if I wanted to. A lot of people say that one. But then when they try, they realize, oh, wait, I can't quit if I wanted to. And that's when you realize, man, I don't really have control over my own body. And that is where the journey begins. When you start to realize, I'm not as in control as I thought I was. And that's not good. I don't like that. Because as a man, you should be in control. As a man, you need to be in control of your own emotions, of your own desires. You need to be the one to be able to say no to yourself, to the things that you want. Because if you can't even say no to your own desires, how are you supposed to lead others when that is your calling? That is your purpose. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you found it helpful if you're somebody out there that has been struggling to replace those vices. Make sure to drop a like down below. Drop a singular thumbs up in the comment section. And I will see you guys all in the next one. Peace.